Hi. Um, I have a little bit of a riddle for you. I don't know if I'm going to be successful in executing this riddle. All right, what is given to you freely, but most people waste it? What is given to you freely, but most people waste it? And I'm going to give a caveat too, in the Western world, or in westernized places, because, it might not necessarily be in everywhere. Time, right? So I think people underestimate the value of time. And this might be a high concept a little bit. It's kind of metaphysical. Um, yes, we talk about how we try to time manage, in the mundane world and all this other stuff. But what about how we're using time between our physical bodies and our electric bodies? And when I say electric, I mean things like our mental energy. A lot of people uh, worry. Worry is a waste, because your mind, and there is a difference between your mind and your brain. So your brain is the physical, your mind is the energy, the spark. Your mind is consumed with things that haven't happened when you worry. Um, I don't want to, I could make some people mad. Praying is a form of um, asking for something because in the now you feel like you don't have it. I don't think that's necessarily a waste. Um, I feel like a lot of people just use it in a way that's wasteful of their time. Um, Also, I guess having regret, having uh, an enemies list, those kind of things, that is harboring resentment about something that has already happened. So that and can also be a bit of a waste, right? That's kind of what I mean by time wasting. Um, we can't go back into the past. I know most people realize that, but you would think that people would act upon that, but they don't. You can't go back into the past, and you can prepare for the future, which again, there's nothing wrong with being prepared. A lot of people will say, "Oh, well, so I can't just think about stuff." Oh, I do. I plan all the time. I'm a teacher. Of course I plan, right? But I don't ruminate and I don't stress myself out on things that haven't happened. And that's something that I'm working with my mother with sometimes. Is like she will say things like, "Well, what if blah 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 blah? What if blah 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 blah?" And I have to say that even to myself still in certain circumstances. It's like, well, then we'll deal with it when we get there, right? It's hard to have a conversation with somebody who does that. And I do adore my mom, but sometimes she does have those. I try not to have those conversations with her, because she tends to worry a lot because she's a mom. Moms worry. Yes, I understand. But it's not going to make any difference, but it will affect your physical health. Okay. Um, Whether something happens or does not happen, it does, you thinking about it, ruminating on it, worrying about it, stressing yourself about it, you know, it does affect your physical health. And going back into the past, they did this to me. Again, I'm dealing with that with a few people. Like, they were mean to me 18 years ago. It's like, okay, and, but they're not here anymore. The thing that happened is done. You're still reacting, right? I haven't read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I've seen him talk a lot, on different, obviously, social media. It's like I can't afford going to go see him, but from what I gather from a lot of what he's saying, the power of now is like you got to lean into mindfulness and knowing where you are in space and time, right? In your physical body. Now, some people, we are always in our our 3D body, and then people aren't aware of the power of their 4D body. Again, back to the worrying. That's your 4D stuff. And regret and resentment. That's your 4D. Like nobody, you know, nobody's doing anything to you in that point, right? If you're sitting at home, like being mad that somebody didn't invite you to a party, it's like they're having a party. Like they don't know. Um, Unless you actually say something in the 3D. um, Valuing time, that 3D measurement. Because in the end, really, there is no such thing as time. So that's the only reason why I'm naming this time, is because that's the only thing that we can really anchor a lot of what I'm saying on is time and some dimensional stuff. So like I said, it can get a little metaphysical. So while you say, like, for example, you are enjoying yourself, like, I don't know, with a friend, having lunch and stuff, and then you're spending that time talking to your friend about how you weren't invited to a party last week. In the moment, you're having lunch with your friend, right? Why are you bringing up something? Not to say that there's a time and place for all of this, what I'm saying, but you're bringing back up something that has already occurred, that cannot be changed, and you're still having feelings and reactions to. Those feelings and reactions are real, I guarantee. But what's happening is now you have, in what we call the measurement of space and time, used all of your present moment conjuring up emotions that don't have to be conjured. Yeah, that's what you're doing. You are conjuring up emotions that don't have to be conjured up. If, say, somebody who's done their inner work you can process this. And again, I'm not saying don't have feelings about like being left out or anything like that. Maybe processing, learning how to do your inner work, your shadow work, all of this stuff, working through what happened, versus still complaining about it, whining about it, like asking, like, well, what do you, like, you went to the party, why did they leave me out, blah blah blah, so again, you're just rehashing things that don't need to be rehashed. Maybe they forgot, maybe your invitation got lost in the mail, honey. You just never know. And now all of that is just a waste. And then on the flip side, and the reason why I'm saying all this, because I tend to fall on the flip side where people are coming to me with this stuff. And this is what I'm thinking in my head. It's like, it already happened. Like, why are you still bringing it up? Why haven't you processed this? Maybe, like, and that would be that good friend that would be like saying all these things, saying like, well, maybe they just left your invitation in the mail, or maybe in a conflict or something, maybe they just forgot, those kind of things. You're trying to be that person when really you can be your own person for that, valuing your time. Meanwhile, you're missing out on having a lovely lunch with a good friend. Missing out on having and your digestion is just going, bleh. Because you're too busy being upset about why you did not go to a party that was already done a week ago. So yeah. We do live in a world where most people aren't aware of their 4D actions or their 4D emotional reactions versus having more response. And while our bodies might be in one place, our minds are somewhere else. And bringing back all of that trauma to that body. hmm And sadly, it can get so extreme where we have things like mental illness, which again is real. I'm not saying it's not. Mental illness is real. And again, I'm saying this because my brother, um, he is still going through post-traumatic stress of things that really did happen. Okay. But for folks who, who are having disappointments about things, like, yeah, not getting invited to something or feeling like you weren't heard or whatever, it's like at some point in time, you've got to handle that. You've got to process it and have a plan for moving forward. Otherwise, you're stuck. I know people who are stuck, literally. Like, no matter what you do to try to please them, and yeah, I don't want to say I was a people pleaser. I feel like I was like that soother. They were looking for somebody to soothe them, but then they always had another problem because they were stuck in that emotion. They're just looking for words to attach them to. So once you soothe or solve their problem, then they're looking for something else to attach the emotion to. I know, honey, I know. It's like, I know these people where they just want to feel the feeling that they've created in themselves. They told the story got solved, and then they find another story to be upset about so that they can still have those same emotions. Okay? I know these people. I know a lot of them like that. Okay? Um, what to do? I don't know. I feel like a lot of people need to learn how to have inner work, to do inner work. Even if you don't go to a therapist and they try to help guide you through this, there are ways for you to practice mindfulness, to practice like journaling. Journaling can be a part of it. Sorry. Um, yeah, you could even see a therapist. You know, invest in a life coach, like a real one. That can help you with maybe not the emotional aspect, but like your habits. You know, that kind of thing. So I life coach some folks. So I don't necessarily. That's how I've moved over. So that's where people think a life coach is a therapist, and I'm not a therapist, honey. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. I mean, I could tell you some stuff, but it does not mean I can help you with that thing. I can help you with what it looks like on the outside when you overeat or you can't stop watching, certain things, or you you can't get organized, that kind of stuff. There's emotional aspects to those things. And that's kind of how and why I know. But I can't necessarily fix the emotional thing, especially when you fix the things. Again, that's why I know. So if you help somebody get more organized, it doesn't necessarily mean that they fix the root of the issue, right? So those folks who like have New Year's resolutions of losing weight, here we are mid-January. I know most of you have probably broken your resolution. Let's just face it, you have. Because you haven't talked about the root of why you're overweight or out of shape, right? The root, the true root of it. Yes, there's habits. Yes, you can like remove snacks from your house. And yes, you can like walk in the stairs instead of taking the elevator. Yes, you can do those things. But then you also have to think about, well, how and why did I get to this place? You gotta dig from the root. Dig from the root. Okay? With that I say, take care.